Ever since its foundations, America has been open to immigrants, the first being British people who opposed rule. They came to America in hopes of finding their freedoms, whether it be religious, political, or social.
During those early years, America was predominantly white. Over time, following different migratory waves of people, Eastern Europeans came to this land in search for freedom. The gold rush brought even more immigrants. People from every continent came in search for wealth.
The modern era of America was no different. From the 1980s to 2000s, America experienced demographic changes, which originated from a combination of changes in social ideology, political climate, and economic changes. The effects of these demographic shifts have a great impact on people today, as democracy is dependent on its people and their demographics. In fact, the U.S. Census is the first census in the world that is used to apportion the government.
Demographics is the study of people and the study of the way human populations change over time. To look at the way it changes, we must first examine who is changing America. From the 1980s to present day experienced great demographic change, mirroring the way American social interactions and lives were put together.
From the 1980s to 2000s, America's demographics for age, gender, and race were greatly changing. Looking at the U.S. Census report for the 20th century to 2000, the 80s marked the beginning of greater levels of change in traditional ratios of age, gender, and race.
Age is a strong determinant of the population's level of social and economic development. In general, developed nations tend to have aging populations where the greatest percentage of people are approaching 40s to 60s. Looking at the United States in the 1900s, when the U.S. was recovering from the industrialism and progressive era, the largest percentage of populations were young children. As the United States went through a post-industrialist era, the age distribution shifted in the upwards direction, towards people in their 40s.
Now that we know what demographics are, we need to understand how these changes are happening. Changes in American demographics can be seen as a result of economic changes, population shifts, changing culture, and lifestyles. For example, during industrialism, the age distribution went down because of an increase in children. This was due to more resources and also an increase of children in order to work and pay for housing and living necessities. Outside of numeric counting, age distribution is important because of social welfare programs such as Social Security. The system works in which people pay into the system. With an aging population, there are more elders to support, with less used to support them. Taking account of this effect can be used to inspire a change in the current system. Furthermore, the demographic of the male to female ratio also greatly changed. Sex ratio is measured by the number of males per 100 females. Traditionally, the number of males in America have always outnumbered females. However, by 1980, the number of males dropped to 94.5 males to 100 females. Ever since, the number of males per 100 females has remained below the 100 to 100 mark. For centuries, there have always been a greater number of males than females. However, this has changed in 1980. Women have actually become more prominent than men. This drastic difference was because of the growing preference for girls and family. Although in America the ratio of men to women has swapped, in other cultures males are still considered more important, in places such as China, India, and Islamic countries.
During the 1980s, there were increased levels of immigration from Latin America and Asian countries. The U.S. Census notes that from 1980 to 2000, percentages of Asian and Pacific Islanders grew by 104%. The Hispanics grew by 141.7%. These were the two races that grew by the greatest amount. Populations of people whose ethnic background were white grew by 12.4%, the smallest rate of growth of all groups. Supposing that among each ethnic group the birth rate was relatively equal, the extraordinary growth of Pacific, Asian, and Hispanic populations can be greatly attributed to immigration. Throughout the 1980s, there was an increase in immigration from Latin American and Asian countries. This was due to newfound opportunities in the States. This gave many people a chance to start anew. Also, from a foreigner's point of view, America was seen to be a place of freedom, in order to escape other countries' oppressive leadership.
As the population swells, especially in urban areas, the population increases places stress on infrastructure. Trains, buses, and roadways become more crowded as there are more people needing to travel. Hospitals and schools are ill-equipped to support the greater population, and with it, less people can be helped in hospitals when class sizes are increased in schools, potentially lowering the quality of education. In cities such as Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, there are large urban slums due to sudden population explosion, as there are not enough houses to contain every family. Infrastructures do not expand with the population risk the creation of urban slums. Urbanization is the population growth of an area as a result of rural migration. This can easily be seen as there are increased numbers of people starting to live in metropolitan areas, a dense and populated region sharing industry, infrastructure, and housing. In 1980, there were 169.4 million living in metropolitan areas. By 2000, the number of people that live in cities shot up to 226 million. Suburban sprawl is the process in which people are leaving the cities and moving outwards toward the suburbs. Often these are families rather than individual people. We see evidence of their travel requirements from the BART system transit map. Many lines are filtering from suburban areas such as Concord, Dublin Pleasanton, and Fremont. These lines are directing them from the suburban homes to those urban jobs. Families in America are shrinking, as most states went from 10 to 15% in single-person households to 25% or greater, showing that family sizes are reduced and more people are living individually.
Ever since industrialization, people have always been urbanizing. They urbanize for many reasons, but the largest one is for opportunities. There are more jobs in the city, and there are more people that they can interact with. These opportunities are more often less available in non-metropolitan areas. Suburban areas have also grown at a greater rate. Suburban sprawl comes from people wanting to leave the hustle bustle of cities, usually families, and wanting to settle in a nicer and quieter area. The overall cause of the increase in single-person households is due in the part of better education. People are able to gain an education, and when they find a job, they are less likely to start a family. They prefer to live alone, which provides much more individual freedoms than living in a family.
These shifts in demographics, age distribution, ethnicity, sex, and housing are important to America as they define the past, the present, and the future. These statistics show that American people are dynamically changing. Other people can use these changes and plan more efficiently the way they want to influence America in the future.